Hello there and welcome. On this week's edition of the program, we shall be taking a look at the goings-on in the Nigeria Railway Corporation under the present-day administration. Our guest this week is the Managing Director of the Nigeria Railway Corporation, Mr. Adeseyi Sijuwade. Many have seen his appointment to run the Nigeria Railways Corporation as a welcome development. Mr. Sijuwade, until his appointment, was a client project director of the Lagos-Kano Railway Modernization Project. He is a chartered civil engineer and he holds an MBA degree from the Loughborough University. We examined what Mr. Sijuwade has been doing since he came on board at the helm of the NRC at the time when the nation's railway is in a state of comatose, as many would believe. But how has he been able to run a government agency like many others that has virtually collapsed owing to corruption, mismanagement and even ineptitude, as well as leading a workforce where many say has a low skill base and a weakened staff morale, not forgetting his vision and position on key issues currently affecting the railway industry, especially with the Railway Act bill. I'm Ayatunde Balogun, and it's question time. Engineer Adeseyi Sijuwade, you're welcome to question time.
Thank you, Ayo.
It's great to have you with us on this week's edition of the program. We're looking at the Nigeria Railway Corporation, and you are the Managing Director. All right, let's cast our minds back. Let's start by looking at the NRC from way back. I mean, looking at what you met on ground when you first came onto the scene, you inherited quite a lot of old rolling stocks, that were purchased decades ago. Some will say as far back as the 1950s. Now, how have you been able to hit the ground running, in ensuring that we acquire new ones or we upgrade the existing ones? What can you tell us?
Oh, yes, indeed. I came in 2009. This was just about the beginning of this administration, just before the present administration took over. When we came in, what we found was a completely moribund sector. We're talking about all the assets being totally in a dilapidated stage. We're talking about rolling stock, which have actually expired, their life has expired. We're talking about tracks that in many areas have been completely washed out, likes of the Akere in Niger State, completely eroded, which meant that trains could not pass from the north to the south. Over the same thing on the Western Line, you're talking about likes of Abagoli erosion. Again, these are areas where the track had been completely broken up, which meant that train could not ply from one part of the country to the other. Having said that, in a spate of 3-4 years, we have experienced remarkable changes in terms of improvement that initiatives that have been implemented. We're talking about the rehabilitation of 3,500 kilometers of the existing narrow gauge line. This comprises close to 400 bridges having been rehabilitated, some newly built. We're talking about over 200 culverts, again rehabilitated. We're talking about the entire line from Lagos to Kano having been rehabilitated. As a result of that, just barely 2 years now, December 2012, we were able to commence the movement of passengers and freight from Lagos, passing through Abeokuta, Ibadan, Oshogbo, Ilorin, Jeba, Minna, all the way to Kaduna, Kano. Likewise, this year, we've actually completed the rehabilitation of the line from Port Harcourt, this is on the eastern line, all the way to Gombe, passing through Aba, Umahia, Enugu, Makurdi, Lafia, all the way to Kafanchan, Kuru, Bauchi, Gombe, with a spur line from Kafanchan to Kaduna. As a result of this, we've actually commenced train services, moving passengers and freight from Port Harcourt to Enugu, and it's all been supported, it's all been driven by the commitment of the federal government to repositioning the railway sector in Nigeria.
Now, you've talked about, coaches and some rolling stocks and all of that. Let's go deeper into that aspect, because I'm really interested in it. Because whenever you talk about Nigerian railways, you think of these trains, that perhaps in the modern day setting you would argue are not so shall I say, fascinating, if I may use that word,
Yeah.
compared to what we see in some of the Western developed countries. But we know efforts are being done to ensure that we try to bring in some new coaches and all of that. Now, tell us. Recently, it appears a number of modern-day coaches, a set of coaches were acquired by the Nigerian Railway Corporation. Now, how many do we have on ground? How do we intend to keep them maintained?
Like I said, I mean, when we came in, we were in a situation where all the coaches were actually life expired. All the locomotives were life expired. The journey's been an interesting one. We started with the procurement of 25 brand new locomotives from General Electric of the US. We had budget constraints then, and so we embarked on the rehabilitation of the rolling stock you're talking about. We rehabilitated a total of 350 coaches and wagons over a space of 24 months. Then we moved, following the advent of the subsidy investment and empowerment program, SURE-P, we moved, that pushed us into moving from mere rehabilitation of existing stock to the procurement of new modern coaches. As we speak today, just over the past 2 years, we've actually acquired 40 new 45,000 liters capacity oil tank wagons. These are now being used to convey petroleum products from Apapa here in Lagos all the way to Kaduna, Kano. We've acquired 11 brand new 68-seater air-conditioned coaches. These are now being deployed. They've been deployed to various services all around the country as first-class services. These are all fully air-conditioned trains that will take has a capacity of about 540 passengers. Mainly used here in Lagos as mass transit. On a regular basis now, we're moving 20,000 passengers on a daily basis. 20,000 passengers.
Can that number increase?
Oh yeah, this is just the beginning. I mean, we're getting in more of these coaches, more DMUs, so that number is bound to increase. But this is on a daily basis. I mean, starting from nothing as far back as just 2-3 years ago. These same diesel multiple units have now been deployed to Kaduna to operate on the Kaduna mass transit train service. In addition to this, talking about freight wagons, we have also acquired, we've refurbished, like I said earlier on, we've refurbished existing wagons which are now being used to move cement from Ewekoro all the way to Kaduna, Kano. We're talking about CBXs, wagons that are being used to move container wagons from Apapa Port, again on a weekly basis, all the way to Kaduna, Kano. So there really has been a remarkable improvement in terms of acquisition of rolling stock.
Now, how affordable are these coaches going to be, for the ordinary Nigerian? I mean, because you talk about some of them having air conditions, and when you have to consider some of these things and probably the services they will offer, you might have to be paying quite a lot, isn't it?
Well, I think railways, particularly Nigerian railways, under this administration, is one that is renowned for providing safe, reliable, and affordable services. So we're very mindful in the way we actually price our services. For instance, a train from Lagos all the way to Kano, standard class, you're talking about just 2,000